Hey, thanks for watching today's Drawing for Kids video brought to you by the Ann Arbor District Library and the Ann Arbor Art Center. Today we are going to be exploring the use of line and shape with this brightly colored line drawing of a landscape. So grab a pencil and a sheet of paper to get started. And what we're going to do is, like I said before, we're using a landscape as our starting point. So you can really draw what you want in this landscape, but I would encourage you to use really simple lines and shapes to form it. So for example, I've got some hills, some mountains. The mountains are just basic triangles. You can see some trees here with different ovals and different like diamond oval combination shapes. And then I have some water here in the front that just has a wavy line that kind of separates the shoreline from the water from the rest of the ground there. And then I'm using some zigzags and some just interesting lines for the tree branches. Along with this water now, you can see different curly and wavy lines to kind of express the waves in the water. Then I'm also using some jagged and zigzag lines to show the rock formation in the mountains. And then for the rays, this is a sun in the background here, and then I'm going to use these straight lines as well as dotted lines, zigzag lines, castle top, wavy, dotted lines, curly lines. So once you have filled up the sky with the sun rays, now you don't have to necessarily do the sun rays filling up the sky. You could also fill it with clouds and do lots of wavy and curly swirly lines within the clouds. You could do it all sorts of different ways. So the idea of this here is to create a landscape while exploring line. And so when I'm doing this, you can see how I've used all sorts of different lines. Now, when I start tracing this over, as you can see here, I also want to try to use some variety of line widths, meaning sometimes I use a thick line and other times I use a thinner line. So in addition to having zigzag and wavy lines and curly lines and all of that, I also can explore the use of thick lines versus thin lines. So once you've traced over, or once you've drawn everything out in pencil, then you can trace over your pencil lines with an ink pen. Once you've done that, make sure it's fully dry, and then you can take a large eraser or just the eraser on the back of your pencil, and you can erase those pencil lines. And that's just helpful so that you don't have any pencil lines showing through once you start coloring. So what I'm going to be doing for this is I'm going to use markers to color it in as a base, and then as you can see there in the lower right corner with that wave, the blue, you can see how I've then added on colored pencil on top of the marker. But first I have to fill this all in with marker first, and that gives me a nice bold look, because sometimes with colored pencils it can be kind of light and faint, and so this will give me the ability to get really dark and bold color while also then still getting some shading that I'm going to then use on top of it. So you can see now here how I am shading it, and so it just gives it an even more three-dimensional look with a really cool pattern landscape.